All right. Two or three things for me. One, we'll be having executive session at the end of this meeting today, so please stick around. We'll be voting on the district manager offer. So we'll excuse the public and we'll turn off the recording, and then we'll have an executive session at the end of today's meeting. Um, Also, we'll be having at steering, which I will change the calendar invite for, but we will be having a resolution if people are interested relating to a working group. Where's Seema? Working group about NYCHA. So it's already on the agenda and it's quite interesting. So feel free to come to steering to hear about that working group. And lastly, I want to thank Jennifer uh, for organizing this amazing picture session. And I love the proactiveness. Like maybe a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, Jennifer texted me, we should do pictures. And then I responded, yes. And and that was the extent of the conversation. We didn't really have a lot of discussion about it. And so I would like to have more of this. So if you have other ideas, things you want to do, call me, text me. We can do things quickly and easily. So yes, thank you very much, Jennifer. District manager report, Jesse. Yeah, I don't know where the mic is. Maybe Igor, pass Jesse the mic. Brent's coming.
Hi, everyone. So basically, my report this month will be very brief as we've been working really hard doing the transition in the office, especially working with the Manhattan Borough President's Office and making sure we meet all the needs required. Grateful for our strong support team, Maisie Haft and Alex Crawford sitting over there, and also for the continued partnership of our chair, Alex Bell, that has been guiding us and assisting us with many of our projects. And I also want to share what the Parks and Environment Committee will not be meeting this month. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware, and I look forward to supporting their work and initiative as we move forward. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So thanks to those who attended last month's tech office hours. This month's tech office hours will happen February 23rd from 6:30 to 7:30 after our executive meeting. It might be 6:45 to 7:45. I know in the past I've been sending out summaries of meetings. We're working on a way to make that more automated, so I didn't have a chance to send them this month, but I will send them in a more frequent manner going forward. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Great. So remember the roll call is open. So text yes to say that you're here. And can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous full board? And second, all in favor? Great. We will now go to the community session. So please come to the podium if you'd like to speak for 2 minutes, members of the community. Sure, yes, please.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Sue Peters. I want to show you a map of our historic districts on the Upper West Side. The colors along Riverside Drive, Central Park West, and Columbus Avenue are historic districts. The last 4 years, by using the National Historic Preservation Act. I'm one of the people that have been allowed to do that, submit to the state why these cell towers should not be put up in our communities because of the Historic District Act. I've handed out tonight, the FCC has put a docket in the public. They want to take away local control using the National Historic Preservation Act and using the National Environmental Act. Both of those acts we will not be able to use to keep cell phones out of our towers. You can go to Columbus Avenue and 94th Street and you can see one of those 32-foot towers that they have up there. Will be able, if the federal laws that are now in Congress and will be voted on, they will take away local control. We will have cell towers up and down our avenues in front of our beautiful historic buildings. That's the nature of what makes the Upper West Side so attractive. The FCC and the telecom companies are like this. And they are riding over state and local control of these bills. The worst bill
Thank you.
Congress, please research it and speak out to your legislators that we all have put there with our
Thank you, Sue.
votes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
We'll go to the DA office team.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Julia Mayenza. I'm the Supervisor of Community Engagement at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, formerly the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side. You may remember me announcing a few times that we were hiring for that position. I wanted to introduce our new coordinator.
Hello, my name is Jordan Pola and new coordinator for Upper West Side, Upper East Side.
So Jordan will be your main point of contact. I'm still in the office and in the unit should you need anything, but she'll be giving the main announcements going forward. But for tonight, I will still be giving announcements. But I did want to share that our high school summer internship programs applications are now open. They are open until February 27th. This is open to juniors and seniors who reside in Manhattan. It's a paid internship. We are having a virtual info session on Tuesday, February 10th from 6 to 7:30. And if you know people who may be interested in applying but need support with their resume, I would encourage you to share the information for our high school resume workshop. I guess I should hold up the flyers for the camera. And this is going to be February 20th at our office downtown. Great opportunity for young people to work on their resumes and meet and speak with people in our office. There is registration links on both flyers that are located in the front. And if you'd like digital copies, please feel free to reach out to either Jordan or myself, mayenza@danny.nyc.gov. I also wanted to flag in terms of other announcements involving our office, Governor Hochul's recent announcement of legislation regarding ICE and kind of coordination with local law enforcement. The DA thanked Governor Hochul for her leadership and said prosecutors can't do our jobs if witnesses and victims, our neighbors, are fearful of coming forward. We need to build community trust to keep everybody safe, and using local law enforcement to do federal civil immigration enforcement erodes our ability to do so. I know this is a topic that many people in this community and communities all over the borough and the country are worried about. So always, of course, open to having conversations about what that looks like. Thank you, everyone. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. We'll go to Eleni from Lincoln Center. And if you're on Zoom and have a comment, feel free to raise your hand and we can allow you to speak at the end of the in-person session.
Hi, good evening, members of Community Board 7. My name is Eleni DeServo from Lincoln Center. It's lovely to be with you this evening. So a few updates. In the coming weeks, work will begin to transform Damrosch Park into a welcoming, world-class performance park for all. We are so grateful for the thousands of local community members and other New Yorkers who generously shared their time, insights during the planning process for this initiative. Construction fencing will be installed as team members begin to prep the space. And when the new Damrosch Park opens in 2028, the park will open up with new entrances along Amsterdam Avenue, gardens with increased biodiversity, 50% more trees than currently in the park, shaded places to gather, an interactive water feature, and a world-class amphitheater for outstanding free performances. We thank the community for their partnership to get to this point and will continue to share progress updates. On the programming On February 21st, we'll be hosting the Heartbeat Summit. It's a well-being in the arts summit, and we encourage all of you to attend. It's going to be at David Geffen Hall, and then we'll be hosting a Lunar New Year performance celebration on February 22nd, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Juliana from WP Theater.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliana, and I'm here on behalf of WP Theater on 76th and Broadway. For those of you who don't know, WP is the oldest and largest theater company that is solely dedicated to uplifting the work of women plus artists all over the city and all over the country. And right now we have an incredible show going on called The Waterfall by Haitian American playwright Phanesia Farrell. Tickets start at $20, and there are a lot of incredible offerings, including a childcare matinee on February 21st. So while you watch the show for $20, your kids could do a free theater workshop for a couple of hours, and it's really fun, and it's the type of show that will warm your heart in this very powerful winter we're having. We also have the WP Theater Lab that culminates in a series of readings, and this year it happens in April. All the readings are free, so if you want to hear some new up-and-coming work by people who will probably win Pulitzer Prizes, I will leave some postcards at the front. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Jennifer from New York Public Library.
Hi, good evening. I work at the St. Agnes branch of the New York Public Library. Just a few announcements. For St. Agnes, our next book sale will be next Wednesday, February 11th from 12 to 4. If you'd like to donate materials for the sale, we'd be happy to take them Monday through Saturday between 1 and 4. Also, the Bloomingdale location, a little further uptown from us, they're having a poetry workshop on Fridays from 3 to 4:30. That's for adults, starting February 20th. And also, the New York Public Library, just in general, is hosting, well, we're hosting many programs to celebrate America's 250th, but the one I wanted to talk about is our Teen Creative Writing Contest. Teens have the opportunity to enter the contest, win up to $500, and get published in a special edition of Teen Voices magazine. And the deadlines for that entry will be March 8th, and I left some flyers up front. Thanks.
Great. Is Grace here? Okay.
Hi, everybody. For those that don't know, my name is Grace. I'm from Assemblymember Micah Lasher's office. Happy to be with you tonight. Just wanted to give you a few updates. Our legislative session is well underway up in Albany. 3 new bills that Assemblymember Lasher has proposed this month. That includes federal ICE agents for any reckless interference of an individual's practicing of civil rights that are protected in the state or federal constitution. Another one that is aimed at holding federal agents accountable that would amend the definition of public servant to include federal electeds in order to better hold federally elected public officials to the same standards to which we hold New York State electeds. And then another piece of legislation huge economic challenge for a lot of New Yorkers. Many displaced workers face offers of new employment that pay by providing temporary wage supplements to workers who return to lower paying jobs as a result of being pushed out by AI, and smooths income losses and tries to encourage rapid reemployment. So those are just 3 pieces of new legislation. Also wanted to note that just yesterday, the Assemblymember held a press conference at Key Foods on 96th and Amsterdam to support independent
Make sure that big box stores cannot impose anti-competitive practices on small businesses, but that small businesses would get a seat at the table to lower prices. Want to protect all of our bodegas and small businesses in the neighborhood. And also just want to let you know that we're hosting a representative from the West Side Campaign Against Hunger in our office on the 25th of February. Should anyone you know need help with SNAP benefits. 28th. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person? I think Hannah, yeah. Anyone else also in person, please come up who would like to say something, and then we'll move to Zoom.
Everyone, I'm Hannah Wienerman from Congressman Jerry Nadler's office. I just first want to say as a human, it's been a really tough few weeks, so I just want to acknowledge that. Today, the House of Representatives voted on the FY26 government funding package, which includes a stopgap measure to fund the Department of Homeland in communities across the country and have raised dire civil liberties concerns. These actions have tragic consequences, including deaths of 2 innocent individuals, the detention of U.S. citizens by masked agents, individuals removed from their homes, families separated, and claims that the administration is exempt from constitutional requirements such as authorized search warrants. Congress must hold federal agencies accountable, and Congressman Nadler will not support another cent for an agency that continues to show such disregard for the rule of law and basic human decency. I also know that you'll be talking about some resolution related to ICE later today. So it's an ongoing conversation. Feel free to contact our office with anything as you'd like to have that conversation or as it comes up. On that note, Congressman Nadler is proud to have also signed on to House Resolution 996, calling for the impeachment of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem for high crimes and misdemeanors. In other news, Congressman Nadler, along with members of the New York and New Jersey congressional delegations, sent a letter to the Trump administration demanding the immediate release of the already allocated federal funding for the Gateway Hudson Tunnel project. Not only is it the nation's largest and most urgent infrastructure project, but it's fully funded, fully permitted, and construction is underway. So we are advocating for the immediate release and continuation of the project. On some positive news, Congressman Nadler is proud to announce that he secured over $12 million for New York City projects in the Housing Pass funding bill. The appropriations minibus includes 10 community project funding requests that will improve accessibility, preserve history, upgrade affordable housing, and modernize our parks across Manhattan. You can see the list of winning projects on our website at nadler.house.gov. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We'll go to Andrew on Zoom from the Manhattan Borough President's office. I think you can unmute and we'll try to change the audio.
Hi, this is Andrew from the Manhattan Borough President's office. I'm here on behalf of my colleague Sawaiba, who's out of town, who's not able to make it. A couple things I want to say is, first off, happy Black History Month and happy Lunar New Year to everybody. We have recently announced a new deputy borough president. Her name is Misha Smith. She will be a deputy borough president for Manhattan. We're happy to have her on board. Community board applications are due on the 27th of February by 5 p.m. Please reapply if you're a current community board member who's up for renewal this term. And if we also want new applicants to apply as well. We also have a new director of land use and planning. Her name is Emily Bachman. The district manager and chair of Community Board 7 should have received her new contact information by now. If not, please reach out to our office and we'll be happy to send it to you guys. And then, we have a free tax prep information at our Northern Manhattan office at, I believe, 431 West 125th Street from Mondays and Wednesdays through the 15th of April from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please call 718-784-0877 to schedule your free tax prep. It's for people who are making under $95,000, I believe. And lastly, the last two things I want to quickly mention is that we have capital funding available. The deadline is the 19th of February. Please visit the Manhattan Borough President's website, manhattanbp.nyc.gov, and then our Manhattan Borough Convention on the 22nd of February at Lincoln Center. more information on our website, manhattanbp.nyc.gov. And that will be my report. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, the event on the 22nd looks very interesting. Everyone should sign up. It's at Lincoln Center. And Brad Holman Siegel will be there, of course, and there'll be other people speaking about Manhattan. So seems interesting. We'll go to Ian Rabinovich.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I know housing and housing affordability is an important issue for the board and something that we hear about at almost every meeting, not just the housing committee, but also here at the full board meetings. As we talk about a rent freeze this year and other costs, I just want to call out that our city has has agreed to a Con Ed rate increase that's going to be somewhere around 13 to 14% over the next few years. We had our water board rates raised last year. We've seen property tax rates in our district go up another 8% this year. So if we are serious about housing costs, I just want to encourage the board and hopefully the elected officials that haven't left yet to please take a look at what we can do about addressing those costs, which are the actual drivers of housing costs going up, rather than just freezing rents without thinking about the costs that go into providing that housing for our community. With that, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. We'll go to Luca.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on the big screen. So a couple of weeks ago, Councilmember Abreu joined the tenants of Westgate on 97th Street, who were facing a total neglect of their essential services. We had a show of force. We called upon the landlord to fulfill their obligations, and he proudly joined the borough president's letter referring their case to the district attorney's office. Last week, the tipping transparency law that he sponsored went into effect. Following the 2023 minimum wage law, retaliation from the apps cost deliveristas an approximated $558 million in likely tips. And this bill restores fair earnings for them and transparency for consumers. In the district, tomorrow we're having a mammogram event at our district office. We still have a few slots available, so if you're interested in that, we should be able to fit you in, no problem. On February 12th, we'll have the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings at our office to help checking on the status of summonses and to teach how to submit online defenses. That's all I got. You can call our office at 212-928-6814. Thank you.
Great. I believe that's it. If you would like to say something in the public session, raise your hand on Zoom or please approach the podium. Otherwise, we're doing roll call. Michael, if you want to share your screen or, but you have 10 more seconds to text yes to say that you are here. Yes. You don't have to do it again, but just in case.
If you do, it won't do it.
Yeah. Okay, everyone got their roll call in? Great. Sound good, Michael?
There's still some folks who haven't, or who I see who haven't voted, so this is the way that we track
attendance. So vote yes if you want to be marked as present. All right. We'll close the roll call in a second, but Adam and Jennifer, we can go to the preservation committee now, and I will share the screen for the slides. Maybe one of those microphones.
Do we have a loose mic? All right. Unfortunately, Jennifer had to run because the person looking after the most important part of her family, the children, is sick. So she is doing some childcare, and therefore you get to listen to me for 3 applications in a row. So once we get the slides up, we will go through them. Okay, 3 applications, signage at Hebrew Union College, a new sidewalk marquee on Central Park West, and a window at the top of a small building on 100th Street. If we could go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is Hebrew Union College. It's the old armory, and that's an individually designated landmark. And the committee voted in favor of the new signage for Hebrew Union College. If we go to the next slide, I can walk you through what that looks like. There are a couple elements. The main two elements are what you can see on the left-hand side, which is going to be a banner extending out over the sidewalk, and then over the central entrance where it says placeholder hall, there will be a intricate three-dimensional metal design placed over the window. And obviously, placeholder hall is for the donor who will theoretically in the future pay for this building. So committee voted 5-1 in favor of it, finding that the signage was pretty unobtrusive and matched well. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Do we want to move to the next one while people finish voting? All right. Alex, if you could bring up the slides. Oh, yeah. Call them.
It passes 39-100. Thank you.
Okay, this is for a Emery Roth and Sons. They designed many of the great apartment buildings on Central Park West, building from 1940. And this is for a sidewalk canopy marquee. And we found that the awning was similar to the original design and echoed original design elements, and it passed unanimously. So what you can see here on the left is what we currently have, which is an awning. And on the right, what they proposed is to bring back the original design of the building, which had a marquee. So it didn't extend all the way to the sidewalk. This one is slightly larger than what was originally there in that it extends out further to give more protection from the weather. It would allow you to see the original number plate for the building, which is hidden right now. And it echoes some of the original kind of 1940s design elements. So this one passed unanimously by the committee. Happy to answer any questions about this application. Okay, question has been called.
All right, a few more seconds. Okay, it passes 40-000.
All right, and then our final item is 323 West 100th Street. It's a row house in a historic district, and we found that because the proposed modification would not be visible from any public way, that it was appropriate, and this passed 501, but Alex, you'll have to scroll back up. Yeah, 501. So there's one abstention. And at the bottom of the next slide, what you can see is right now there is at the top of this row house, there's a small setback that currently has a small door and air conditioning sleeve. And the proposal is to replace that door and air conditioning sleeve with a sliding glass door. Any questions about that application? Yeah, Clary. I think, Clary, if you want to just speak into the podium.
Abstained? I was the one who abstained on the committee. This happens to be one of the row houses that form part of one of our beloved donuts in our district that is almost unchanged from its original shape. It doesn't have, and they're not applying for a full width extension. The top floor remains set back with something close to, or perhaps its original windows, which go by the fancy name fenestration. So while it is not nearly as big a change and in your face as many of the rear yard applications that we have, many of which we have supported, because of the unusual situation that it remains such an intact example of an original row house, I was not comfortable with changing the windows and doors at the top floor to a very modern four-part metal framed thing, which is what you see on the right. I couldn't quite bring myself to vote no, but I abstained, which has the same impact as a no. I would love to see this building remain in its current configuration because it's such a great example of what these row houses were like for so long.
Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Should we call the question? Great, that's it. So it passes 37-120, 38-130. Okay, we'll be going to transportation next. I forgot to announce, but we have no remote participants in today's meeting.
Hi, everyone. Alex, can you share the resolution? It's quite lengthy.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and then Alex also, just a shout out, he did a ride along with the sanitation department. And so what we found during that, I don't know if any of you have seen that on the website, but it's quite entertaining to watch. But what happened during that ride along is that, yeah, perfect. He's pulling it up. Is that a lot of drivers were blocking the path of the street sweeper. Either the cars were empty or people didn't want to get out of the way. People were even verbally assaulting the DSNY workers. So we invited DSNY to our committee to talk further about this issue. And I'll just give some context on the issue and then I'll talk about the resolution. So there's that issue of the ride along of what we found. And then also current enforcement mechanisms work that the worker has to get out of the vehicle in order to ticket the car, which slows the entire operation down. And then also while drivers are waiting for the street sweeper in their car, they're running their engine, which is in violation with the New York City idling laws. And the fine for blocking a street sweeper is $65. And so when you think about that, a garage spot in our neighborhood is about $500. That comes out quite well if I just leave my car out there. And if I'm a repeat offender, that comes out to $260 a month. So that's also why we tackle the cost in our resolution as well. And also more than a third of parking tickets went to repeat offenders. So that's why we also are tackling enforcement for repeat offenders. So, you know, we all probably know that why this is important, but it's important because blocked street sweepers reduce street cleanliness, which contributes to debris accumulation in gutters, which can lead to floods. And that really undermines our city's investment in sanitation services. And also, automated enforcement tools have proven to improve compliance. So there we have our resolution. So I'll just kind of try to summarize it. We are supporting the introduction of a city council legislation that authorizes the use of enforcement cameras on the sanitation street sweepers to ticket vehicles that block or obstruct street cleaning operations because they're either unattended or because the drivers are refusing to move out of the way. And we also want to increase the fines for blocking street sweepers with substantially higher penalties for repeat violators. And sorry, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but a third of the violations went to people who have been repeat violators because they made that calculation in their head that it's just cheaper to continue violating than having to pay for a garage spot. And then be it further resolved that City Council restart the DSNY's program of placing large, brightly colored stickers on the windshields of cars violating the alternate side parking rules. This was banned in 2012, so just asking for it to be reintroduced. I know this is controversial by some members on our board, so we'll hear some opposition to that this evening. And also be it further resolved that CB7 calls on the relevant city agencies to strictly enforce existing idling and traffic laws during street sweeping operations. This passed 10-1 on our committee. Thank you. 10-1.
Questions, please, Jamie, come to the podium.
I apologize because I'm on this committee and I sadly missed the meeting. I have two questions. One, did the DSNY talk at all about frequency of street sweeping? And why we have the schedule we have when other cities do not? And two, I'm curious if the one person who voted against the idling requirement would want to speak as to why they voted. If you don't want to speak, that's fine, but I am curious about that. Oh, okay, thank you. But if you have any intel on the other issue about the schedule, please go ahead, Richard.
I don't. Yeah. Yeah, we can't recall about the schedule, but I know we've talked about that separately, and I'm sorry, I can't remember them talking about a schedule.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue. I'd like to propose an amendment to add a new, be it resolved, that in light of the less stringent alternate side parking rules imposed in other areas of the city, the Department of Sanitation re-examine whether extending alternate side parking to 4 days a week on the Upper West Side is necessary and outweighs the inconvenience to thousands of car owners, resulting in additional needless air pollution. And I'd just like to give my rationale for that. It would be an understatement to observe that alternate side parking rules impose a significant burden on drivers who are forced to remain with their cars for an hour and a half a day up to 4 days a week, especially now when the number of legal parking spaces has shrunk dramatically. It is difficult to find legal parking at any hour. There simply are not enough spaces to accommodate all the cars in need of parking. When alternate side parking is in effect on the Upper West Side, an hour and a half, 4 days a week, the number of legal non-metered spaces shrinks by half. There's simply no way all the cars required to move to accommodate alternate side parking to find legal parking. I question the necessity or desirability of mandating alternate side parking 4 days a week on the Upper West Side. Many, if not most areas of the city require alternate side parking twice or even once a week. I would be surprised if Manhattan streets are dirtier than streets in Queens or Brooklyn, yet the burden on the Manhattan drivers is double or 4 times that imposed on drivers in other boroughs, where parking is actually generally easier to come by. Moreover, I would be surprised if any streets in our district are actually cleaned more than once a week, if that. So the drivers are forced to accommodate a rule that confers no practical benefit on anyone. In this connection, I would be interested in learning from the Department of Sanitation how often streets in our district are cleaned. Why make drivers move their cars 4 times a week if actual cleaning occurs on a much less frequent basis? By the way, for those who are rightly concerned with additional pollution caused by drivers during periods of alternate side parking, reducing the requirement to 1 or 2 days a week will correspondingly reduce pollution. I recognize that car ownership under any circumstances is viewed with distaste by many, but there are about 32,000 registered residents, cars registered to residents of the Upper West Side, representing more than 27% of all households. This is not an inconsiderable number. Car owners should not be treated as if they are interlopers or wrongdoers. This community board represents not only bike riders, users of public transportation, pedestrian and taxi riders. A significant portion of our constituency own and rely on car ownership, and many cannot do without it. So I move, as I said.
So just a point of, is this a friendly amendment or not? Okay, unfriendly amendment. So maybe we'll hear from a few other people unless you want to call the question now, and then we can vote on your seconded.
Yeah, I was gonna comment.
How about we comment a little bit and then we call the question on yours? Thoughts?
Seconded.
Okay. Okay. Well, can we have some comment first and then we vote on it, or? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, amendment first. We're talking about the amendments. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, those are all good questions, Richard, but we, at the committee, we weren't debating the rules themselves. We were talking about enforcing the rules as they are. That's a whole different conversation, what the rules should be. There are some members of the committee who think we shouldn't have free parking at all at the curb. And I'm sure they'd love to engage that. You know, whether it's 4 days a week in Manhattan, whether that's justified or not, I'm sure sanitation has good reasons. I don't think they're doing it because just to be punitive. I mean, there's a lot more, we have, Manhattan has a lot more people. So that's likely the reason. But again, we weren't addressing that at all. We were just talking about enforcing the rules as they are. And we really don't want to open up that can of worms.
You want to go to Hayden? You can use your.
Raise my hand
Okay,
first.
here you go for it.
Yeah. So I guess 2 things. One, I was going to respond originally to the resolution, but I guess Richard will respond to the amendment. It does sound like it should be a separate resolution on its own because it's not as tied to this resolution rather than being an amendment to this resolution. It should be a separate resolution that we can vote on. But I guess I had one comment that I wanted to make about the enforcement cameras that you guys mentioned in your resolution. Is there any comments on how long that footage should be stored or what should be done with it after some time? Because I think we've seen examples of people using footage recorded by different vehicles for different purposes than what was intended. So is there going to be can you have an amendment to say like it should be disposed of at a certain time or something like that? But I guess we can focus on Richard's amendment first.
I'll just combine my comments if I may, just quickly. There is a state law about the automated camera enforcement of buses, and it's very strict. It's passed. It's a current law right now about the purposes it can be used for. There is a very strict access requirements, and it can only be used for enforcing bus lane violations. And so I believe that any additional camera laws need to be passed at the state level, and I'm sure that the state legislature would take that existing model for the buses and, you know, sort of model that strict privacy concerns for sanitation cameras. I'll just say that I'm very concerned about the amount of trash that we have in our neighborhood and the impact that it has on flooding, particularly in Riverside Park. I regularly see that the trash that is not cleaned up because cars don't move, especially on Riverside Drive, ends up in the sewerage, basins. It blocks it, it causes flooding, which in turn impacts our infrastructure. So I think I think trash actually is a very serious concern, particularly on Broadway and Riverside. When I was a car owner and participated in the dance that is alternate side parking, almost every single time I did observe a street sweeper. Like, this is actually happening. I observe it on Broadway every single day. I think the proposed amendment doesn't seem to me germane. I think the idea that it maybe should be subject to specific debate in committee, and it sounds like that didn't take place and we didn't hear from DSNY in committee, is a concern for me. The underlying resolution seems to be in favor of enforcing the existing laws, potentially raising penalties and making sure that those who are breaking the law when it comes to letting our sanitation go forth and do what they need to do, and then polluting our air by running their engines illegally, should be enforced. I think if we're going to talk about decreasing the amount of street cleaning or which is what alternate side parking is about, I think that sort of contradicts the underlying purpose of the resolution. And I think it makes a lot of sense to have that happen through a separate resolution through committee when DSNY we can hear from them about why they do these things. So I just want to point out one thing. We're already seeing, now that automated camera enforcement is in place, that drivers will just park in the bus stop or the bus lane and put a piece of trash or a cone or something else blocking their rear license plate to block the automated camera enforcement. I think that signals that we need a little bit more stringent and boots on the ground in form of citizens who can do similar to what we do with the commercial idling program. Have there be citizens who can snap a photo, send it to DSNY or to MTA and say, hey, your cameras aren't catching this because someone's literally blocking their plate. And the reason I say that is we pass these laws and we want enforcement. I think that's what this resolution is about. We want enforcement of the current laws. Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Michael, and then we'll go to Andrew, and then Barbara, and then people will line up, and then we'll go ahead.
Yep. So I will speak just about the proposed amendment here. I think everything Hayden said was great. I think the proposed amendment, one of the things that was talked about was that there's not enough parking for vehicles to begin with, that, it's an encumbrance on vehicle owners. A couple of things about that. One, I think we are trying to, as I understand this resolution, solve a few problems right now that currently exist. I think, Richard, you're anticipating a problem that doesn't yet exist. You're assuming that if we were to do this, it would be more of a problem for car owners. I think we should let that be true first. Well, I think we should let that be true first before we solve that problem. I think, to your point, that we don't have enough parking, we've lost parking. About 10 days ago, we had a pretty large snowstorm. About half the cars on my street disappeared. I think you walk around this neighborhood, you see about half the cars disappeared. Now, I don't know what type of magic took place, but they all seem to have found a spot somewhere. And I'm going to guess that those spots are currently paid for because people didn't want to dig out their cars because of the off chance that they needed them to get out of the city or whatever it might be. I think, again, when you look at the data, because you're talking about the number of car owners in the district as well, the number of people who use their car to get outside the city, I think, is less than 3% for work. Compared to, of those 27% of car owners, the majority are working in Manhattan or other boroughs where they can take public transportation. Not the issue at hand here. I think at the end of the day, your proposed resolution is not in line with the rest of this resolution. I think if you want to vote on it separately, as other people have pointed out, I think that is appropriate, although I would oppose it. But that being said, I think also the reasons that you are sort of bringing forth why this should exist, I think those also don't make sense.
So I have a comment on the resolution, but not on the proposed amendment, so I can wait until that part closes.
Okay.
I hear a number of people make the comment that this is not germane to the main resolution. I think it is, because, but But I take the point that it should first be discussed in committee. And so I would withdraw without prejudice my amendment if the chairs of the committee agree to take this matter up at the earliest opportunity and to invite sanitation to explain the discrepancy. If that's okay with the rest of the board.
Great. Done? Okay, so we can continue discussing the main resolution, and Richard has withdrawn his amendment. So Lottie, go for it.
Yeah, I have a question in reference to the increased fines. And my question is, were the community members that live on the poverty line and the 25% of families that have food insecurity in our district taken into consideration when discussing the increase in fines and what the increase in fines would mean for families that are already strapped for cash? And that's a question for the committee members. Thank you.
I don't think there's any comments, so
Okay.
Andrew?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm making that up. Google it, look at the sentence, whatever you need.
Well, on average, households that own cars in this district have almost twice the income of non-car owning households. And I think it's about 100, the average is about 140, 150,000 a year.
Right? We have Uber drivers in the community. We have people that live in poverty and they're struggling to make it. But we, the people that represent the people, are calling onto the city to increase fines. So my question is, was that part of the discussion? Did we even think about these people
Yes, it was.
when proposing the increase in fines?
Yes, it was.
Okay, because I suggest that we delete the increase in fines. That's what I want to propose.
Is she on the board?
All right, Andrew?
Okay, yes, point taken on the fines. My sense is fines are already expensive. I don't know how much you increase them that will deter the behavior. I know that very often, not in the case of people who don't move, but sometimes something comes up, life happens, and you just can't move your car and you end up paying the fine. So I think there needs to be more enforcement. It's a major problem. Thing that I'm most concerned about as well is the colored stickers. If you've ever tried taking one of these things off, I had to years ago, and that was like as a young, strong man, like rubbing and getting this thing off with the special, spray. I think it's obstructing people's property. And if someone's driving off with it, it's kind of shaming them. And it can also obstruct visibility when you're driving, which I don't think anybody wants. So I would suggest removing the sticker further resolved provision. But otherwise, I agree with more enforcement, and it's an issue. Yes, that is a motion to remove the further resolve.
First, we'll ask, is there friendly? Would you like to accept that as friendly? No.
No.
Okay. And so that's
So it would be a motion to remove the further resolved that would place a brightly colored sticker on windshields of cars. I don't know how anyone with traffic safety as well would want a car driving around
Okay,
with a
got
big
it.
sticker.
I got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Richard seconds it. And so would you want to vote on it now, or do you want to continue the conversation? We could vote now.
I'd say vote unless there's any comments.
Okay, so let's,
Comment was on that.
okay, if people have comments on the stickers, sure, let's talk about the stickers.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I was concerned about the stickers, and I see that it was removed by city council, banned it. So I was wondering if we had any information about that and if it was a safety issue, because like a petty part of me loves the idea of making people bright stickers on their car, but the reality is I'm very concerned that there could be a safety issue with it.
I think we were told in the committee, somebody said that the problem was that people really didn't like it because they were very hard to scrape off. And
Right, but if it's there and you can't scrape it off,
Right.
is it obstructing view? Like that could be a danger, not just
yeah,
for that
so
car,
we
but
would,
everyone.
we would be fine inserting into our resolution. Try the stickers, make that an option, but provided that there's easy to take off so that they aren't difficult.
We kind of screw up the
Well, there's
discussion
you
if we
still
want to
have
add that, yeah.
You still have the shaming part. Nobody wants to have a sticker on their car.
Okay, any more comments on stickers?
Yes.
Okay.
Andrew took the words out of my mouth. I think the stickers are mean-spirited. I am not a car owner, by the way, but I think it's just mean-spirited. And for people who have had those stickers put on their windshields, it's downright dangerous. If you don't carry a scraper or a razor blade around with you, you cannot remove them. It's just horrible. I mean, you have to be a real car hater to have put that in your resolution. And I would like to see it struck as soon as possible. And while we're on the subject, I also think that Richard's resolution is very germane to this discussion. I don't think it's a hostile resolution, hostile comment at all. I think that it not only is an environmental help, because people aren't moving around so much looking for parking spaces. And also the points that he made are very, very valid.
Well,
So if we don't take it up now, I hope we'll take it up very
come
soon.
to the next transportation where it will be discussed. I
Okay.
think we should vote on the amendment about the stickers. Okay, one more comment on the stickers.
Yes, I wanted to know when you said that you were able to, or you were willing to amend the portion of the stickers, are you willing to say stickers only for people who commit so many fines or more? Because right now you said a third of the drivers commit 12 fines, or 12, they're a third of the tickets issued are people who've already committed a dozen, have already gotten a dozen tickets. So are you willing to say, like, if you have so many more tickets, then you get a sticker?
So you would only get a sticker if you had like 5.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a valid point, but I think we should call the question on the amendment, which is from Andrew, which I put on the screen here, which crosses out the be it further resolved, the city council restart DSNY roads. A vote for yes is agreeing with Andrew and removing the be it further resolved. A vote for no is to keep that in there.
Voting's not open yet, wait.
Can I just comment on that really quickly? I'm just reading an article right now about the stickers, and it said, this is in 2025, that Gail Brewer actually wanted to bring them back, and that then sanitation commissioner said that that was one of the few things that made people actually respect alternate side parking. So just gonna put that out there. I know
Yeah,
this is kind of last minute, but I know we're
Right.
voting.
Shula actually attended from Gail's office, attended our transportation meeting. And this is something that Gail is very passionate about. She wants to bring back the stickers and thinks that's the way forward. And Shula was there from the office and spoke to that. But voting is open. Yeah, yes is the amendment from Andrew Ridgey, which removes the stickers from the resolution. No is keeps the stickers, keeps it as it was presented. If you agree with Gail, you vote no.
Agree with Gail? No.
Okay, voting is open. Get your votes in. We're spending a good amount of time on this one. Right, yes, remove stickers from the resolution. No, keep stickers into resolution.
Thank you. If you incorrectly vote while the voting is open, you can always just vote again. It will update. So it doesn't double count. It just changes.
Okay.
Obviously, this is close, so we're going to give it a second. Got here. There's technically only two. Did yours come through? I think, yeah, yours did. Oh, no, yours did. You were, yes.
Yes.
So I think there's just one more.
Yes.
Yeah, so once more, a vote for yes means to remove the section that includes returning the sticker program. So if you vote for yes, you want to get rid of the sticker clause. A vote for no is to keep the sticker in this amendment, which means that should it pass and should DSNY go through the whole thing, the stickers would return to the streets.
Great.
Anyone want to change the vote, have any issues? Yes.
I see you.
No, you're there.
You're in there. Louisa, see you.
Anyone else? Yeah, no, we have, yeah, just Richard. Okay, so we're gonna stop the vote here. The final vote is 15 yes, 23 no, 3 abstain, ineligible for cause 0. So
Thank
the
you, Michael.
amendment does not, the amendment fails.
Okay, now we'll continue comment on the resolution as it's currently up on the screen, which is how it was in your documents. So go for it, John.
Okay, a lot of different topics folded into this. Okay, so I will start out by noting I am a car owner. I park in a garage. If you know of a $500 garage, I think the number needs to be adjusted upwards, actually, based on the current market for what it's worth.
Move a little closer, move a little closer.
Yeah, so I've had occasion, I park in a garage almost all the time. I have occasionally parked on the street and like maybe 3 times in the last couple of years had the occasion to do the sit in your car during the street sweeper thing. And in my experience, no one moves. I have tried to move for the street sweeper, but you can't if none of the other cars are moving in. The street sweeper is driving in the street next to the cars. So clearly the streets don't get cleaned. I don't know whether they don't get cleaned because the question about how many days a week every given street needs to be cleaned can't really be answered until the street sweeper actually cleans the streets consistently, which from what I see mostly does not happen. So the question about whether we need to have it 4 days a week, meaning any given stretch of street gets cleaned twice a week, or I guess done so that the street sweeper only goes by a spot once a week, seems interesting. We should address it. I'd support a resolution asking for a study on that issue, but I don't think it's connected to the underlying resolution, which I support. The underlying resolution correctly identifies the problem that drivers don't move. And when drivers don't move, the streets don't actually get cleaned. So we should solve the problem of getting the streets cleaned before we can move on to the other pieces. And maybe it doesn't need to be twice a week. Maybe it can be less than that. Now, this highlights the larger problem, which is that a lot more people want to park in the free spots on the Upper West Side than there are spaces on the Upper West Side. We have a massive supply and demand imbalance. People spend an absurd amount of time driving around trying to find a parking spot and then dealing with alternate side. And well, I know this is a deeply sensitive issue. Supply and demand management, I think, is going to require some sort of a sensible paid parking system, not as a way of penalizing anyone, not as a way of judging car owners. I'm a car owner, I don't judge them, but as a way of actually managing our scarce resource of parking that there's way too much demand for in the neighborhood right now. So I think that needs to be addressed, but this is about, do we clean the streets? We're not cleaning the streets. We need to have a fair set of rules that make sense and allows the streets to be cleaned, and then we need to actually enforce them. Sticker, I abstained on that because I think we can just do this through regular fines that need to be high enough to get people to obey them. I will note, anyone who registers their car in New York, you got to put 2 stickers on the bottom left corner of you need your inspection sticker and your registration sticker. So we do drive with stickers, and 90% rubbing alcohol on a credit card will take off the sticker.
All right.
Easily enough.
Thank you. Let's go to Isaac. And let's be efficient. Stickers.
I'll try to be succinct. First of all, I completely understand the motivation behind this resolution. And at the same time, I very much concur with what Lottie said, which is that we need to be considerate of people that are low income and that are car owners. There are many people that fall into that category. Percentage-wise, it may be small, but there are still hundreds of people in this district that fall into that category. And traffic tickets, as they are currently, can be crushing based on their income levels. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and increasing the amount that they would need to pay in penalties 3- or 4-fold could be completely devastating. There are people that live in NYCHA. There are people that work on an hourly basis and that commute from outer boroughs, and again, will be crushed. They are crushed currently by traffic tickets, and even more so if the penalties increase. So what I would like to suggest to the committee is that at some point in the future, it consider looking into a sliding penalty based on income. It's something that a number of Scandinavian countries have done, and that's been proclaimed as pretty fair and effective. And I think that we ought to consider that here as well. Thank you.
All right, and go for it.
I think means testing the tickets is a really interesting idea. One thing I just wanted to add is that we talked about bus lane enforcement, and a statistic from that program that I think is very relevant here is I think only 7% of people who get tickets are repeat offenders. So it's very effective at once you get the first ticket, you stop doing the practice. So I think this is actually like a great model to make sure that this is not something that people are like constantly getting tickets for. People learn their lesson very quickly and then do their part to help the community.
I think most of you know I've been on the Transportation Committee for over 10 years, and that experience has enabled me to answer the question physicists have been wondering about for millennia. What is the major force in the universe? It's parking. Parking is infused with everything. Every issue that comes up before transportation involves parking. And so I think we really need to just hone in on what this resolution tries to do. And it's just trying to push people to make room for the street sweeper, to clean the street. And yes, we should consider all of these other issues, the burden on people with limited incomes, the possible obstruction that a decal can cause. All of that is worth discussing. But if we discussed all the issues regarding parking, we'd be here forever. So again, what's before us is a motivator to get people to move, to help clean our streets, and I'm 100% in favor of it.
Do you want to add means tested in front of the fines, or no? Or
no, I think
Okay.
that's a whole
All right.
other discussion.
Great. Okay.
I'll take another second. I would say that's something we should consider at the transportation. We have something very specific before us tonight.
Yeah.
I think we should keep to that because otherwise we'd
Sounds good.
literally be here all
Let's
night.
go, Shelley.
No one should ever think that I would want to not increase the fines, but we do it through natural ways. Okay. I think I have an amendment to eliminate the increased fines, be it further resolved, because it's discriminatory. Okay, people who can afford the fines, it's no big deal. People who can't, who may have other situations forcing them to not move cars at times and so on, they lose out. We should, as a community board, should not be in suggesting imposing fines. That's for the city agencies to do and for the city council to do if they think it's a wise move. It's not for us. These are our neighbors, okay? And maybe some of them we'd like to really punish, but that's not what we're here about. We're here about community. So I suggest that we amendment to remove be it further resolved.
All right. Do we have a
increase the fines.
second? Second. Do you want to have the vote now?
Can we respond to that?
Let's comment on the.
Give me a second.
Sure.
I have a problem that has no solution here, and nobody here is represented for the group of people I'm talking about. The delivery people, the tradespeople, these people who are very important to us mostly 99% of them have to come with their vehicle from outside of our neighborhood. We have very few people today in 2025 who are plumbers, who are electricians, who are carpenters, painters, small delivery from liquor stores or whatever you have. So these people drive in and they have two choices. And one choice is to park and pay the fine because it's cheaper than having a second or third person in the vehicle. And it's also cheaper than driving around for half an hour to find a parking space. So these dollars come out of our pockets. We don't realize it. So we have to figure a way to accommodate these people, or they're just going to pay the fines and they're not going to move because it's cost effective for them to just pay the fine, no matter who they are. And that painter that you're paying X numbers of dollars, which you think is too much and they know is too little. I repeat. They're living. So I don't have a good solution to that, but just realize that all these people who are so important to us that we don't know, who aren't in this room and will never be in this room, are people going to be paying a lot of these fines.
Okay, we're discussing now the amendment to remove the increased fines.
I love that because I was going to say that a family of five, $15 a ride on the MTA, $30 a day, $150 a week, $600 a month, right? That's a real number, right? And for some people, the car is cheaper, right? Because they have to figure it out financially in their own homes. And that's why I'm asking the committee, was that discussed? Did we talk about people in financial straits that have 2 and 3 children and they have to pay, $6 a day per kid and for themselves? So thank you.
All right, Michael?
Any comments before you?
No.
So I, of course, am sympathetic to the intentions I think that people are trying to express over people who are maybe on the lower end of the economic scale, who are living below the poverty line. These are real people in our community. We can and should do more for them in different ways. I think that we shouldn't encourage bad behavior or not discourage bad behavior by changing fines just because of someone's economic condition. I understand that it is impactful for people, but it is just as impactful for people, or is also impactful for people when a car idles every day. You look at the city of London, for example. I know this might sound crazy tangent, but they implemented rules about combustion engines in their city, and they expanded it to all 36 boroughs, and they saw their the quality of the air respiratory issues were down in the city. Sick days were down in the inner city. So there's an actual cost that we're all currently bearing for these idling vehicles, for these cars that are not moving. It's more than just the trash on the streets. It's more than just the flooding. It's something that impacts all of us. If you want to talk about communities that need help, people that are typically below the poverty line are also some of the people that deal with some of the most severe health issues. Having idling vehicles in our community is not helping them. I understand that an increase in the fine in a moment can feel like an encumbrance to these people, to any person. But if the current system is not an active deterrent, there are plenty of people in this community who own vehicles who view it as the price of parking their car on the street. There are a lot of problems that need to be solved around this. I think that it's important to make the fine something that's actually a deterrent, as other people have pointed out. I know that it could be an impact to other people. I think there's ways that we can try to address that, but I don't think that just because someone is not making a lot of money or lives below a certain level enables them to not deal with the social contract that the rest of us are signed up with.
When Michael gets back to his seat, we will start the voting on this. You can respond. Yeah, go for it. Say it. Give it a tap. Give it a tap. It's coming back. Go for it. Say something. I don't know.
Are we voting on the amendment? Or
I'll announce it 1 second. He's responding.
We're voting on the amendment.
Voting on the amendment. So once again, voting yes will be a vote to delete the further resolve clause, which asks for increased. vote, leave the current resolution as it is.
Okay, I just wanted to speak to the amendment. You know, right now, it makes the most economic sense because of the price of private garages, just to ignore the street sweeper and leave your car on the street, as we've heard. The city is providing free parking for upwards of 12,000 spaces on the Upper West Side. All we're asking is that twice a week on one side of the street, when the street sweeper comes, that you move your car. There's one guaranteed way not to pay the fine, and that's move your car.
All right, thank
And-
you.
And
Okay,
And,
the voting is, the voting is going. So vote, everyone. And once again, voting yes is to remove the be it further resolved that asks for increased fines, and a no is to leave the resolution as is. Michael, how much more time? I don't know. I'll say it. Get your votes in. I think that looks. Anyone? No. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up here. So it's 12 to 26 to 2 to 0. So it doesn't pass. So now we will go to the resolution as is. Hopefully people have already commented enough. Please let's not have any additional comments. So if someone wants to call the question.
Question.
Great. Okay, now Michael will reset it and give him 1 second. While Michael prepares, Andrew would like to propose a friendly amendment.
I can't hear you.
Okay, what Andrew would like to say on the sticker, would you be a friendly amendment to add something that says an unobstructive sticker?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Oh, non-obstructive. Thank you very much, Andrew. Okay, Michael, are we ready? Yep.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, so voting is open on the resolution, the full resolution. So voting yes is you want this resolution with Andrew's friendly amendment, and voting no is you do not want this resolution. Okay. Okay, resolution coming back. It's coming. It's going to. Okay, here it's back. But voting is open, so vote now, please. All right. Okay, so should we call it now? Okay, so it's, what is it, 29?
Okay, so final vote is, it carries 29-920.
Great. Councilmember Brewer, would you like to join us and speak? Also a friend of the sticker. Forever known as a friend of the sticker.
What is that? What is a non-obstructive sticker? I don't know. But anyway, thank you for your support. I know the legislative division of the city council is saying, Gail, we don't know if we like stickers. I said, fine. you figure out how we move these friggin' cars. That's what I would like. So along those lines, I did meet with Chief Obi at NYPD. She's in charge of all transit for the police department. And I brought up alternative side. You should know that she's going to, I guess, blanket is the word, the west side with sanitation at least once and see if that makes any difference. So she's going to take that on as a project. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but soon. So I'm warning everybody, move your friggin' car or you're going to get a ticket. And she's also going to tow. She's going to tow. So I seriously hope, I think it'll be post snow. It makes no sense to do it now, but she's going to do that. Secondly, I get many complaints, as you might, about West 96th Street, and I brought it to her attention. It's DOT mostly, but people run that red light when they come up Broadway from the West Side Highway going east. They run that light. So she's going to get many more tickets there. And then also, maybe not as high a priority, but at Columbus Circle, the bike lane on Central Park West is often blocked by the police cars. So she's going to work on that. There were many other topics, but those were some that we discussed. I do want to thank the sanitation department. I'm sure they get a lot of criticism, but I have to say my number one issue was obviously plow, but the bus stops. And I have to say, I think they did a really good job of clearing the bus stops so that people get to medical appointments or anything else. So I want to thank them for that. In terms of homeless issues, on Broadway between West 75th and West 76th are two, I call them encampments. I don't know what you call it. One is an igloo, very nice igloo, and the other one is a mess. And those two individuals are hardcore. During the Adams administration, they were moved, but they came back. So I'm in touch with Deputy Mayor every single day. They did go to the bus, warming bus last night, but they're back this morning. So it's up to this administration to find them apartments. They're not going to shelters. They're going to go to an apartment or they're not going. So just so you know, I am so aware of it. I have so many complaints, but I am working on it constantly. Second, the other homeless issue, which irritates me, is on 74th Street. The Calhoun School was converted to a women's shelter. It's been problematic, just as we said. We definitely wanted affordable housing. We didn't get it. And I have to say the cops are there, 3 or 4 times a day. Ambulances are there constantly. There are a lot of fights, etc. So we are having a CAB meeting. Obviously, that's a meeting with the Volunteers of America. Board 7 is certainly welcome. And people from the block. We even get complaints from people who are in the shelter. That's what is going on, that they don't feel safe. So something's wrong. And so I hope the CAB works. I didn't think it was a good idea to start with, but there we are. Also, 316 West 95th Street. I'm pleased. It's an SRO. It's run by Goddard, which is a good thing. It has been adult families, but apparently it's being changed into sort of like I call a large safe haven. I don't know the exact term. And so the adult families are going to be moved out and it'll be more transient. I don't know what it's going to end up as. I'm glad Goddard is involved, but I would have preferred to keep adult families, just so you know that that's happening. In terms of other topics, I think you know as much about West Park Presbyterian Church as we're waiting to hear what happens with the hardship. We obviously hope it's not granted. We are making sure that the church's windows are closed, the heat is on, and there's no problem with any interior damage. We're waiting to hear. I am meeting with the first deputy mayor this week to talk about that issue, ABC, and many other issues to tell him we need help. We just had a blood drive with JCC. It was a huge success, even in the cold weather. Many, many, many people came out. In terms of legislation, I'm chairing the Governmental Operations Committee, which has about 12 agencies under it. The big ones are Law Department, DCAS, and many others. I'm co-chair elected of the Women's Caucus, and then I'm on many other committees, just so you know. We are hoping this very soon, and one of my 4 bills to help with city FEPS. This is the voucher you get when you hopefully leave shelter. It is so freaking complicated to get into an apartment with this voucher. So working with Wynn and Christine Quinn, we have some ideas about how to speed it along. We're working on legislation on pedicabs and pet ownership and many, many other items. We also passed the land bank bill, which would require, it's a land banks exist around the country, but in this particular case, it's one of the ways that we hope we can acquire vacant, abandoned, and tax delinquent properties, at the same time making sure that there's affordable housing as opposed to going to the highest bidder. And we will obviously also make sure that if it's needed to have the lien sale paid, because this is based on a lien sale. We have lots of things coming up in March. We have the Children's Book Fair, which was originally earlier, but it's going to be on the 8th. We have a town hall meeting at John Jay College with city agencies on the 23rd of March. We have tree clinics. We have CPR training. We also have at Goddard Riverside, this might be of tremendous interest, on the 30th of April, we're going to have all block association information. I would like every block to be a block association, because what happens is people call up, I have a great idea. Your idea is stupid. You should go talk to the block association. There is no block association. Well, then you can't just have an idea by yourself. You have to go to the community board. You have to get people involved. I don't want to do that. Well, then don't bring me your stupid idea. Go. So I want block associations, so I don't have to tell these people this sort of information. So we're going to have it, obviously, with Steve Anderson and others. Get organized on your block. We also obviously have working with many different groups, Campaign Against Hunger. We have benefits, so people can get those. We have veterans coming in. We have Squeedry, and we have our monthly housing clinics. And thank you very much.
Amazing. Okay, I think we'll go now to YEL.
Hey there. We have two resolutions. They look long on paper, but I think they are not very controversial. So everything's less controversial than transportation. So we're good. They're both very closely related, and it's supporting air conditioning in all of our schools. There is right now something called AC for All. It's just not effective. And part of it is they're not checking that the ACs that are put in are in fact functional. So they need to not just exist, but actually work. We think that would be a good idea. The other expansion we'd like to see across the city is that air conditioning is included in common spaces, which is like auditoriums, cafeterias, gyms. Those aren't really secondary spaces in schools. They're highly used spaces. They're used for exams, they're used for tutoring, they're often used for special services. So I don't think they can be ignored any longer. They need to be included in the air conditioning. To differentiate the two resolutions, the first one is simply calling for air conditioning across the schools for the whole city. The second resolution specifically calls out one building in our district that we believe needs particular attention. It's the Joan of Arc School building, West 93rd Street. It houses 3 schools, Community Action, Lafayette, and Manhattan School for Children. It has the superintendent's office and the CEC office. That building does not have any air conditioning in any of the common spaces, and it's also used as the summer programming. So particularly, you can imagine in the summer programming, you really need air conditioning and really need it in those common spaces because they become academic spaces in the summer. And that building is one of the few buildings we have in the district that's fully accessible. So Manhattan School for Children in particular focuses on students with physical needs that need a fully accessible building. So we wanted to make this a separate resolution just to highlight this one very important space, but it doesn't take away from the other resolution that's just saying the whole city really needs AC in our schools.
Bundling?
Can we bundle them?
Yes, bundle,
Yeah,
sure.
What do I have to say? Let's bundle
Great.
them.
Are there any comments, any questions about this pair of resolutions? Michael is going to set up the voting.
We're good.
Voting is live. Thank you. And I want to shout out Jesse, who did a lot of great work on this issue. And it's in our district needs, says Roberta.
Hi, everyone. BCI has just one resolution.
Can I just, so I can
Oh.
just say the vote, sorry. So the final vote on this one is 41,000.
Take it away.
Okay. BCI has just one resolution that we are bringing to you today. It is a new application request for 944 Columbus Avenue. It's a restaurant by the name of Coma Bueno. And the restaurant has operated there for about 30 years. The accountant came to present their case, and we found nothing out of order. The vote was unanimous to approve this liquor license, and maybe we should just call the question unless somebody has any comments.
Any comments?
Voting is open.
Hayden, you want to grab the mic? All right. I think it's over. Is anyone's phone vibrating on the table?
I'm going to stop this vote though in the interim. Final vote carries 40,000.
All right.
41, excuse me.
Isaac and Hayden.
Thank you, Alex. Before I dive into this, would you like to share a word about the financial position of the board and the fact that we have some excess funds?
Sure. So as we talked about at steering at the previous meeting, Kevin, who is not here, our treasurer, has identified that we will probably a surplus of some funding. And of course, we're looking to utilize these funds in impactful ways. We want to have impact on the community that we serve. And so I challenged all the co-chairs at steering to come up with some resolutions for how we could potentially use this money. Now, Isaac and Hayden will talk about that. Voting for one does not preclude some other one. So I encourage others to also come up with ideas that are impactful. And then the executive committee will work to realize how we could possibly pay for it and what that would, potentially look like financially. But again, you're supposed to be voting on the idea behind the thing, less about how it will be implemented.
Thank you very much, Alex. So the Health and Human Services Committee has proposed two distinct projects that both address our street homelessness crisis. The first is the creation of a new volunteer-run street homeless outreach program, which I'll go into more detail in just a moment. And the second is providing some seed funding for houses of worship in the district to open to shelters within their spaces. So without further ado, I'll jump into both of them. So the street homeless outreach proposal. I think it's important to know, I will just share a tiny bit about my background. I serve as the executive director of a homeless service agency on 114th and Broadway called Broadway Community. We serve hundreds of people every day, about 70% of whom are either in 10025 or 10024. So I'm intimately familiar with these matters. I think it's worth starting by saying that the current models of street homeless outreach in our city are limited for a variety of reasons. These include, but are not limited to, people feeling safer on the streets than they do in the municipal shelter system, which is rife with theft and violence and just indifference towards a person's humanity. Outreach teams are limited in what they could do to build relationships with those on the streets. They are, for instance, prohibited from providing food to our neighbors that are on the streets. And they're inherently often met with skepticism due to the fact that they wear uniforms and that they drive vehicles with insignia. So the street homeless outreach proposal that we have thought up has one singular mission, and that is to build relationships with those on the streets. Ultimately, building rapport, we hope will encourage people to accept services further down the line. But the singular mission of this proposal is to build relationships with those on the streets. So it envisions breaking up our community board into 5 distinct sectors. And it works out pretty perfectly, just given the size of the community board. We're 51 blocks. So we envision breaking those 5 districts up from 59th Street to 69th, 70th to 79th, 80th to 89th, 90th to 99th, and 100th to 110th, and assigning a designated leader to serve as the primary point of contact within each of those 10 block districts. Ideally, that person will be a high school student or a college student that is interested in exploring a career in the human services field. That's actually how I became involved in this line of work back when I was in high school. And we propose selecting those students through a competitive application process. Some of the discretionary funding would go towards the purchase of materials for them to prepare care packages and gather friends and other neighborhood volunteers to constitute outreach teams in the neighborhood. And the application process would entail a written essay. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. And then an interview with myself and Hayden. And they would hold the title of CB7 Health and Human Services Fellow. They would be trained in the fundamentals of street outreach, and they would conduct outreach at least once a week. That would be the basic expectation. Simply providing care packages, learning the names of the people that they're giving them to, and building relationships with them. And they would be equipped with the resources that they need to connect those neighbors with resources like shelter and other professional services. So we hope that we'd be able to establish a partnership with the Manhattan Outreach Consortium. Obviously, Goddard Riverside is the big player in our district. And when a person is ready to enter into shelter, we would have a direct line to them and say, hey, please prioritize this person, go up to them, ask what they're looking for. So that's the first proposal. We've pre-bundled these also, I should mention. The second, as I said before, was providing seed funding for houses of worship to host shelters in their spaces. I'll start by saying that prior to COVID, there was a very thriving so-called emergency shelter network in New York City, wherein dozens of houses of worship were providing shelter to people every evening. And that provided a critical alternative to the deeply flawed municipal shelter system that we have. And there were several houses of worship on the Upper West Side that were involved in that network. There was Anshe Chesed, there was B'nai Jeshurun, there was Stephen Wise Synagogue, Church of the Ascension, and many, many others. And the way that these programs historically functioned was through partnership with drop-in centers, which would conduct intake and provide transportation for guests every evening. And the houses of worship would provide volunteers, showers, and meals. And again, really provide a meaningful alternative to people that are deeply reticent to enter into the traditional shelter system. In 2023, a lot of confusion was thrown into the mix on how to revive the program. The Adams administration launched a $75 million program to create 50 shelters within houses of worship in response to the asylum seeker crisis. I was actually intimately involved with this and would be happy to talk offline about why the program never achieved its full potential. But just 15 houses of worship ended up launching shelters. And that was despite the interest of hundreds across the city. And that program concluded in June of 2025. So where does that leave us? Today, there are just 2 houses of worship, believe it or not, 2 houses of worship in all of Manhattan that host shelters every evening. There's the Broadway Presbyterian Church, which is where Broadway Community operates from. And we provide a shelter for 19 single adult men and women every evening. And then there's the Manhattan Outreach Consortium, which is the Manhattan Outreach Consortium, which is where Goddard Riverside is. So And then there's the Trinity Lutheran Church on 100th Street, which partners with the Trinity Shelter. And they provide shelter to 10 people every evening. Those are the only two in the entire borough of Manhattan, if you could believe that. And there are hundreds of houses of worship in this borough across the city. There are thousands that are sitting vacant every evening. And we have, of course, thousands of neighbors on the street. Tonight is actually the count for that. Tonight is the hope count. So if anyone wants to volunteer afterwards and, oh, they did. They canceled it again. Okay. That's news to me. Sorry about that. There are thousands of people on the street that are reticent to go into the traditional shelter system. So it's of utmost importance to provide alternatives like these house of worship-based shelters. Very excitingly, in June of this year, my synagogue, Anshe Chesed, which is on 100th Street and West End, will be launching the first house of worship-based shelter to come back online since COVID, the first. And that's in partnership with Broadway Community. So our proposal envisions establishing additional house of worship-based shelters on the Upper West Side with several $1,000s directed towards those startup costs. So the purchase of cots, linens, hygiene products, and other program supplies with the intention of sheltering up to 10 people every evening. So a very modest start, but we hope that it will catalyze the interest for other groups to do the same. And lastly, we would select that house of worship through a competitive application process that considers the congregation's volunteer capacity. Again, the shelter would be completely volunteer run and would also consider their facilities and their experience sheltering our most vulnerable members. There are several, as I mentioned, in our district that used to do this work before COVID. So happy to take any questions on this. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I also want to say that Isaac talked at length in the committee about the regulations that have changed and were part of the cause of why some of these house of worship things, and like there are solutions there. We probably don't want to go in length about why the regulations changed. And again, to some people who ask about liability, other concerns that we have talked to the Manhattan Borough President's Office. There is some precedent. Again, I think you should be voting on the merit of the idea, and we will work with the Manhattan Borough President about the logistics of how one would fund something like this. But yeah, let's go to questions.
This is, I know we have for this fiscal year a bit of a surplus. Do you know like how we would sustain this, or have you thought about sustaining this beyond this year?
Yeah, I think if it was successful and we could prove it was successful, if we didn't have a surplus, I'm sure we could get electeds or others to continue to support it. So I think, again, we should consider it like a kickstarting effort. I think it has some good ideas. I personally have some worries about how some things will work, but I applaud Isaac's and Hayden's initiative, and I want to, give it a shot. So yeah, I don't know what would happen next year, but if we proved it was successful, we could probably build on it.
I think it's premature to vote on this without a discussion of what other committees and other suggestions are going to come forward. I have a lot of reservations about our doing homeless outreach through the community board. I don't have a problem if we were to fund a nonprofit to set this up. But I think we should hold off on a vote until we've heard from other committees about what suggestions they have for spending this money. Thank you.
Good comment. I think what we decided to do is we're going to have resolutions about the merit of the item, and then we're going to have a process by which we ask everyone to rank what they think is the best in terms of how to disperse the funds. So right now we're voting on just merit of the idea, and then we will talk about how to rank it. And in terms of how we would fund a nonprofit, again, the Manhattan Borough President provided precedent examples of how community boards have done this in the past. But yes, there would be some challenges to work out how to do it.
Along those lines, is every other idea from every other committee going to come through the full board to vote on the merits before we do the ranking?
Yep, exactly. So we will have other committees put forward their resolutions over the next few months. People will vote on the merits, and then we will do a ranking.
So a vote to support this would be a vote simply to support the merits of this, just like we would be asked by any other proposal to support the merits of that proposal. So if it's we want Wi-Fi in the board office and
Exactly.
somebody comes forward, we would vote on that. And then my second question is, in terms of the money, the discretionary funds, the surplus, would this be an all or nothing, or would it be divided up between projects? And how much money is there?
Yeah, again, that would happen as part of the ranking. So we're devising a way where you can allocate your funding. So it wouldn't be an all or nothing. And consider it approximately $10,000.
Can I say something? I just think, wouldn't it make sense for us to consider the merit of all the proposals in one meeting as opposed to break it up in different meetings?
But one of the problems is some committees are going to have it at certain times. They're not all coming at the same time. And this will also spur other committees to be active and get their stuff in. So we decided to we will have the vote tonight on this one.
Excuse me, Alex?
Yes.
I don't understand what you mean by the merits of the proposal. There are so many parts to it. It sounds like just like little pieces of a lot of things. So when you say we're voting on the merits, I would not know what that is.
I think I would phrase it as, do you think that the community board should support the effort as outlined in the resolution to try these two projects?
It's very vague. What we've heard tonight is very vague.
Sure. I mean, that's true. But in order to like nail down, these were the people who will be going, they will be delivering these items. We need to provide some kind of indication if the community board thinks this is at all worthwhile before we pursue the in-depth work that would be required to create the process. Let's go to Beverly first.
I would just point out that we're in February now. To bring anything else before a full board meeting would be at earliest March. This money turns into a pumpkin at the end of June. There's very, very tight window here. And so to put anything else forward, we're very, very late. I would like, however, to put forward a project that was under discussion that I was aware of earlier in the year when I was sitting in your position, which was a proposal for an intern for the Housing and Land Use Committee. It was not selected through the city process, but it was a very good proposal written by Maisie and with SEMA's blessing to find an intern to do the substantive work on what are the regulatory issues that prevent the further development of SRO housing in the city. So it would be to essentially pay an intern over the course of several months to do that work.
That was in process or not a process? Okay. Yeah, that's another good one. I think Beverly is completely right. I brought this up multiple months ago, and we haven't gotten many committees coming forward with resolutions. So I'm hoping that this spurs others to come forward.
If we are to vote on the homeless shelter proposal or outreach proposal, I would recommend that we take out the high schooler portion of it. Personally, I think that's a very young age for kids who are like 14, 15, 16 to be going out and engaging directly, sometimes probably on their own with men and women that they just don't know. I would not be comfortable voting for that. I would really recommend taking high schoolers out of the equation completely.
Friendly amendment, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think Natasha, point well taken. I think people would never go out by themselves. Yeah, so I think friendly amendment if we add that they would not be high schoolers going out by themselves.
Okay.
Is there any precedent on this? I mean, with discretionary funding to essentially have the community board discretionary funding fund social services that are government funded, no, not via community
Yep.
board or private funding. And it seems to me like you're kind of giving money that would just go to an organization to do some big project. It would be kind of difficult to track what exactly the money is being used for versus if we were investing in technology for the room or something that has a clear dollar amount for a product or a service that we can really
Yeah.
track.
The Manhattan Borough president gave me a few examples, which I'll email you. I don't have them off the top of my head, but yeah, similarly, they were starting initiatives to fund a nonprofit that took care of a park or created an organization to clean up a park. There were a few similar ones like that. So that's the precedent examples they gave me.
Call to question?
Call question? No, Ken has one last point by Ken. Okay.
Are we being asked to rank these two because they're very different? Are we just voting them on?
Good question. In the resolution, I believe it says that the order that this resolution says that the house of worship is prioritized. Okay.
We debated this at the at committee level, and the committee did vote to put that order in there. It's not currently in the resolution.
Okay.
Forgive me because I wasn't sure. So just to be clear, the committee had 2 votes. We approved both of these resolutions, and we wanted the to support the homeless outreach program second, and that the first priority was going to be the house of worship priority. That's not currently in the text of the resolution. I'm fine if we want to change that to make that be the priority.
Great. All right. Call the question. Oh, yes.
I would suggest, feedback on this, if we play a minimum age of 16.
Like, I had a question for you.
Wait, we're
sorry, go ahead.
we're fixturing one. What is our friendly amendment?
Students age 16 and up.
Okay.
High school or college students age 16 and up.
17.
We go for 17.
17.
Yeah, let's do 17.
Okay, great. Thank you. Doug, last one.
Okay, so I really applaud you the intentions of this. And I really appreciate your comprehensive explanation. I have some concerns. We had Project Reach Out with God of Riverside, and someone that was very close to explained a lot of the process there, which is reaching out, developing caseworkers, developing files on particular homeless individuals, and sometimes it was a very long process to gain their trust and documentation. So now, if you have another parallel effort, I'm wondering if there's any sort of conflict where there are individuals that are they're working on a relationship, and now we have another group of people that are doing the same thing, and if could be a potential conflict with information and trust. It concerns me that this might get very messy very quickly. Stepping on other people's toes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug. And point well taken. I mean, there are lots of outreach teams that do this kind of work in the district. There's the Bridge, there's Goddard Riverside, there's BRC. And you're right, there could oftentimes be too many cooks in the kitchens. We would want to be very careful about that. I cannot give a super concrete answer besides the fact that I don't think us giving a care package to someone in need and learning their name will be harmful in the long run. But after that first interaction, I do think that we would want to check with those other providers and see what sort of progress, if any, they have made in those relationships. Hope that answers the question somewhat.
Okay, we're calling the question. Michael.
Voting has started. So this is a vote. A yes vote is in support of the merits of these 2 projects to be considered at a later date for potential sort of action by the board.
And
So this and
Sure, if you want, you can vote on them separately.
okay,
Sure.
I'm going to stop. So everyone who voted, I'm going to stop the vote and redo it. Sorry. I had them bundled because that's how they were presented.
Yeah. So we're gonna separate them, and the first vote will be on the outreach program. And
Okay.
we're not ready for voting yet.
And Alex, I had just added the text to
Yeah.
prioritize one or the other, but I think maybe.
We don't need that now.
Now we don't need that.
Yeah, just give it.
And we're gonna need two separate resolutions. which I
Yeah,
can do.
but it's yeah, we got.
Okay.
Okay, Michael?
Okay, so the first vote is for the first one on the list, which was the funding House of Worship outreach.
Well, no, the outreach, people going around with outreach, not the House of Worship. Okay, which is first?
It's the first one is for the
Okay,
fun-
House of Worship.
Worship.
Sorry, Michael is right. Ignore me, ignore me. We're voting on House of Worship. So the resolution to support helping House of Worship open emergency shelters. Vote again. You can't vote twice. I mean, like you can try, but it won't. Don't worry. Okay. Get the votes in. Okay.
Okay, so looks like the final vote here, it'll carry, is 29-7-0.
All right. Now Michael is going to prepare again, and now we'll be voting on the outreach teams resolution. But we're not ready yet. Michael will tell us when we're ready.
Okay, voting for outreach teams is now open.
Okay, get your votes in.
You voted?
No, he wants it. He's a yes.
This one is fairly close, so if you are going to keep it open for a second here. I should use it. Am I missing anyone?
But there's two manuals.
We have two yeses.
All right.
So this one, I know right now the screen shows differently, but we have two yes votes that are not counted. Richard, oh wait, no, sorry, give me 1 second. Shelley's in there.
Shelley's in there, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, it still carries. Richard is not counted as a vote, but he has verbally said his vote is a yes, so it is 21-8-11-0, so it does carry.
Great. All right, we'll now move to Hayden.
All right.
And
yes. Great. So we had a second or now third resolution up for today. Bellevue Hospital came and spoke to the Health and Human Services Committee. They are a familiar face to us. In March of 2025, this full board passed a resolution regarding the Medicaid reimbursement rate and telehealth parity law that affected hospitals such as Bellevue. And then we had the One Big Beautiful Bill, which aimed to cut more than $1 trillion in healthcare spending over the next decade, the majority from Medicaid. As a result, because Bellevue, although not in our district, serves many people as the tertiary care hospital for the entire New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, all of Manhattan would be affected by these critical cuts. And so Bellevue came to our committee, they presented, they asked for a resolution in which the letter, which would call for a letter from the Community Board 7 to elected officials requesting that the state and city that provide financial support for NYC Health and Hospitals and Bellevue. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry.
Just a letter. Is this a resolution or a letter? If it's a letter, we don't need a resolution.
Well, it's currently styled as a resolution that we will send a letter, which is what was asked for and voted on.
Because it says letter.
Yep, that was what was asked for by
All right.
Bellevue and what we,
Then we need to vote on it for sure.
yeah.
Great. Call to question. The voting is open. Sorry, I forgot to share that one. Just a few folks who haven't voted yet. Last chance to get that in, or let me know verbally. Okay, we will stop the vote here. It's 36,000 carry. Oh, sorry, 37,000 carries.
Okay, we'll be going to new business now. We have one resolution and also Doug has an update. Then we're not going to be voting on the resolution because our bylaws require that it be presented at a committee meeting first, which it has not been. So we will present it here, entertain a brief discussion, and then we will be voting at next full board. And then everyone please leave very quickly of the public because we'll stop the recording and we'll go into an executive session. And I'll let you know when to please leave. So yeah, Hayden okay, go for it.
Hey guys, yeah, so obviously we all saw the horrifying things that are going on in Minneapolis, and I just thought we should maybe address it in some way. And so Hayden helped me come up with a resolution condemning ICE and calling for their defunding and abolishment. So we put that in a resolution. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Thanks, Eric, for this proposal. I just wanted to be really clear. We're grateful that the elected leaders whose representatives or who themselves spoke today. There was a wide up and down the spectrum from state representatives to Jerry Nadler to Gail, and I know the city council had recently had a member of its staff who was arrested at a routine check-in, and there's been a real controversy. Obviously, there were some very local issues that we also didn't want to exactly weigh in on. We wanted to sort of take a neighborhood approach that is not tied to any of those specific, very important legislative proposals. We thought our role was to sort of be the voice of our community. So I just want to highlight that we talk about in our resolution, numerous residents in Manhattan Community District 7 have reported and observed the threat of ICE actions in our neighborhood cause fear on a daily basis, and that we place tremendous value on the diversity in our neighborhood. We cherish the contributions and presence of all people, regardless of national origin, citizenship, race, or creed. We then go on to condemn the dangerous conduct, to stand in solidarity with the people who have asserted their rights and protected their neighborhoods around the country. We unequivocally state that due to that recent deadly violence inflicted by federal agents in Minnesota and the disruption of an unrest in Minnesota, we believe that those agents are a destructive force that we're not welcome in our neighborhood at this time. And we urge the city council, the mayor, and the state senate, the assembly, and the governor to immediately pass and implement laws permitting New Yorkers the right to sue individual federal agents for civil rights violations in state court. We didn't want to take a position on a particular bill. obviously, Jerry Nadler's representative said that he voted no to any one more cent for the Department of Homeland Security. That's ultimately where our final resolution comes down to, that we urge Congress to defund and abolish ICE and to drastically cut the funding for the U.S. Border Patrol. We don't need to obviously have a vote today, but I just wanted to give everyone that update and where we're coming from. And it was heartening to hear that there's a lot of agreement in our elected representatives.
And thank you to everyone who replied to the email with ideas about what to do on very specific committees. That was really nice. Thank you all.
We can have more conversation next time. I don't see any comments. No committee. It's not coming out of any committee, so we'll be discussing at the full board next time before voting on it. Or you can comment here. Give this man a remote.
I have two comments. One is that I think we should, to some extent, localize our resolution and point out what's happening already in our community because of the threat of ICE. That kids are not going to school, that witnesses are not showing up for criminal proceedings, and that in general and to say that we value our immigrant population. That's my first comment. My second comment is, I don't think we should weigh in on whether or not ICE should be abolished. I think it detracts from the rest of the resolution, and I think it's ill-advised. Whether or not you think it should be abolished, I don't think it should be in our resolution.
Go for it.
With all due respect, I see this as sort of an empty resolution because, frankly, I don't think the administration in Washington is listening to us. But I think who may be listening to us is our new mayor. And I think the resolution needs to say that we call on the NYPD to enforce the law. When someone breaks into someone's apartment without a warrant, when someone arrests someone with a mask on without any kind of documentation, when someone throws someone down, we should call upon the city to enforce the law. The rule of law ends not when people break the law. People have been breaking the law since laws were enacted. The rule of law ends when laws cease to be enforced. And that's what I think the resolution has to call for. It has to call for our elected officials, particularly our new mayor, to actually enforce the law. And if we don't do that, this is an empty resolution, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wanted to, as you think about this and as we debate, I know we're going to discuss it next month, but I agree with Richard. I also just want to thank you for putting it together. I do think we want to do as much as we can to keep it focused on Community Board 7 in the district. And there are some references in here to borderline political things like the majority Democratic cities and so forth that I think maybe would be a little better served if we kept some of the politics out of it and more on the principle and the neighborhood. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rudy Weinberg. I just want to say I am very for the ideas in this resolution. I agree people might want to change the language a bit, but I think we wholeheartedly need to say we do not want ICE in our city. It would be a disaster. So I hope you all work on it and I support it. Thank you.
Great. I think that's the end. While Doug wraps us up, if all the public members could please exit, that would be great. Doug.
Yeah, so
tell us.
This is a little premature, but it's a glimmer of good news. We have been in a precarious situation with our office lease for a long time for lots of different reasons. And through Beverly's tenure and now carrying on to Alex's tenure, I volunteered to try to figure out a little bit with lots of other people that are, communicating. It turns out that ownership to our landlord, our particular space in the building is overseas in Asia and Hong Kong. And also through relationships, happened to find the attorney that actually represents the particular owner. I had a discussion. That attorney passed forward a message that Alex and I drafted that was basically a very simple overture to please discuss extending the office lease. That message was then returned back to me that they are interested in talking, and we are going to be having a call sometime soon. We have to coordinate the 12-hour difference between New York and Hong Kong, but we'll report more on what it seems pretty optimistic at the moment, but we haven't, got all the details, but we did send a fairly detailed proposal that was very reasonable, kind of carrying on to where we are. So that's, keep you posted, but it's encouraging.
Fantastic. So a motion to go into executive session. Okay, if everyone else can leave. I'm gonna stop the recording. Yeah, okay. Yeah, hopefully the rent does not go up. Yeah, no, it's just that they're leaving with the. So I don't know, is everyone gone?